In this video, I'm going to share with you how you can beat Spotify's algorithm and generate multiple six figures from Spotify. My name's Chris, also known as the Artist Manifest, and I love coaching artists. I'm also going to be sharing my screen, going in with you, showing you the data, but then also giving you a whole bunch of tips to increase your chances of triggering that algorithm. Because look at this. You could not spend enough on Facebook ads, Instagram ads, TikTok ads, or even go to radio compared to what the algorithm can do once you trigger it. And we're going to show you how to do this. So I'm going to share my screen and then come back with you. So the first thing I want to share with you is in my artist.spotify.com dashboard. And I'm going to show you a song that is actually an older song. This song, Firestarter, it came out. When did it come out? Let me take a look here. It came out in 2017. So I want to show you how this got. So I'm going to show you how it caught Spotify's algorithm and absolutely took off. All right. And so I'm in here on my dashboard here on Spotify artists, and I'm going to change this to the last 12 months. Now, this wasn't a single. We didn't go to radio on this. I haven't even been touring since 2019. And so this was getting a few thousand streams a day. But then Spotify's algorithm got a hold of it, and it jumped up to 10,000. Then it jumped up to 15,000. Then at a high, it jumped up all the way to 21,000 streams a day. Now, part of this is the algorithm, and part of it is me submitting it to Spotify Discovery Mode, which is right here, which will be available to you soon as artists. But what's really interesting is that I literally did no promo, and Spotify just took it. And even now that it's dropped down a little bit, Spotify's algorithm is still promoting it. And like just the other day, we got 12,000 streams, and we're still getting like 12,000 streams a day. No promotion on my end, no radio, no ads or anything crazy like that, just Spotify's algorithm. So I want to give you a whole bunch of tips and tricks to trigger that algorithm right now. So the first thing you need to know is that whatever you don't feed dies. Whatever you stop feeding dies, but whatever you feed continues to grow. Like if you want to stop an alcohol problem or a drug problem addiction or any type of addiction, just stop feeding that addiction and it will die. But if you want to grow something, you've got to feed it. And specifically on Spotify, if we want that algorithm to work for us and to find different playlists and share it on that radio playlist, Discover Weekly, Fans Daily Mixes, then we need to feed it data. That's what it needs. It needs data. It needs streaming data. And I want to give you a whole bunch of tips and tricks to do that, which is really just promoting your song. And so one of the easiest things you can do, which is free, is activate your fans. Activate your fans and even friends that you have by sharing the song, emailing it to them, asking fans to listen and stream your songs. Like sometimes we'll email the list or we'll do a post. I might say, hey, you might not be able to support my merch, but one way you can support me is by streaming my songs. And I heard a story of another artist doing this, and he literally went from fans that were streaming his songs, maybe, 2 or 3 songs, to 6 average streams. So it doubled, just asking fans, and that's like free, right? The next thing that you want to do is that you want to do Facebook and Instagram posts, okay? Organic. And I'm talking reels, okay? I'm talking about TikToks. I'm talking about creating all kinds of different content to trigger that algorithm. There's 2 stories I want to share with you. One of a female artist named Katie, all right? And she was exhausted. She was tired. She was trying to figure out the whole TikTok thing. And I think it was during Christmas one time. And it was right before her going down for dinner or something like that. And she's like, you know what? I'm just going to do one more post. And she lies on the floor, like with her stomach on the floor, and does some kind of like post with her phone. And that thing blows up, and she ends up getting like 200,000 streams from the TikTok post. All right, she took the same thing, posted on Instagram Reels, and it continued to blow things up. That's free. There's another story about a guy, I think his name's Stevie. He had posted the same song 15 times. 15 times. How many of us, and let me know in the comments, you post something 2 or 3 times and you're like, okay, my job's done. I've promoted my song. No. You've got to put in way more work than you realize is required to really blow something up and give something a chance, right? So anyways, On his 15th post, somebody spams him and starts trolling him and says, man, you've posted this video enough, man. Like, give it a break, man. And it really discouraged him, and he was just about to stop, and then he posts one more time. And then that's the one that went viral and again got him hundreds of thousands of more streams, which of course, what does that do? That triggers Spotify's algorithm, right? Like Spotify's looking to know, are people listening to this song? First of all, that's step one. Step two is how long are they listening to it, right? Are they saving it? Are they adding it to playlists? Are they sharing it? All these things Spotify's looking for, but we've got to at least feed it the data. The next thing that you can do, and especially if you have a budget, is run Facebook and Instagram ads and optimize for click. So one of the objectives when you're running Facebook and Instagram ads is to decide, do you want conversions? Do you want reach? Do you want engagement? You got to tell Facebook, what do you want to optimize for, right? And so I suggest especially when you're first getting started, is optimize for clicks, okay? You want to get traffic. That's the one that you want to do. People that are most likely to click off of Facebook and go listen to your music, right? And so we'll run campaigns for this. And of course, there's going to be attrition, right? Which means that, there's a lot of people that are on Facebook that see your ad, hear the song, they like it, and they go to click on it, but they don't have Spotify. But there's a big majority of them that do, and then you're driving data to your song to trigger the algorithm. We're trying to increase your popularity score and get your song heard. So Spotify's like, okay, there's something going on with this song, right? But you've got to force the hand kind of thing. You can't wait for it just to happen. And you can choose one or you can do all of these, right? The next thing that you can do, and this is what I really recommend my students to do, and I have training on this, is Spotify ads. If you just go to ads.spotify.com, I like to say fish where the fish are, right? Like if you're trying to grow Spotify, doesn't it make sense to run ads where people are already listening to music, right? And so you can be running Spotify ads to get those clicks to your playlist, to stream your song, and again, feed that data to Spotify. Now I get asked a lot, like, well, how much should I spend? Well, the minimum you can spend on any campaign is $250, right? And so I suggest that you do at least that, but you've got to do it for over a long period of time. Like for this whole campaign that I'm talking about here, you need to think like a 30-day to 60-day window. We're not talking about just 3 days here. We're not talking about just a couple of weeks. We're talking about 2 months, all right? At least 1 month, please. Keep pushing this one song because you need to give Spotify enough data over a long period of time to finally trigger, right? And if you're only doing the minimum, guess what you're going to get? You're going to get the minimum output, right? If you're putting the minimum input, you're going to get the minimum output. But we want max output. I always look at it like this. If you were to sign a record deal, you expect that label to do everything possible for you, right? So why don't you do everything possible to promote your brand and your music? Maybe don't go out for dinner. Maybe don't go to Starbucks. Maybe don't go on whatever expensive trip or buy designer clothes, and put that into your music and something that's going to keep paying you forever, right? So you need to continuously do this over a long enough period of time. Another thing that we'll do is you can look up independent playlists yourself. A big majority of streams comes from independent playlists, right? And so these are just fans that listen to music. Well, you can get on Spotify and you can find playlists, and you can contact that playlist owner and say, hey, can you add my song? Sometimes they have their email in the name of the playlist because they want to be contacted. Sometimes they'll put their real name in there, and then you go find them on Twitter or go find them on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok and message them and say, hey, I love your playlist because it's got this genre of music. Well, hey, I make that kind of music. Would you consider adding this song? We've gotten dozens of playlists doing that. Or we hire a VA to do it, which is a virtual assistant. Because honestly, you shouldn't be doing that personally. You should be hiring that out. That's a minimum wage activity. All right. So you want to put a price on on a value on your hourly rate. Like my rate hourly is $1,000, right? So if I charge $1,000 an hour, why am I doing a $5 an hour activity? And you want to ask this, like if you can go to your job and make $40 an hour, then why are you doing a $5 an hour task, right? Even if you make $15 or $10 an hour, you should be hiring those tasks out. And guess what? Someone can crank out a whole bunch of stuff because guess what? You probably don't want to do that, right? Like, let's just be honest. Let's hire out the stuff we don't want to do, which leads me to the next thing. Instead of looking up the independent playlists, hire a curator, like a company who's got the curator, those Muso Soup and, Playlist Hub. There's a whole bunch of them online. Make sure they're reputable. I am not recommending any on here. You need to find your own and do your own homework, but you want to make sure they're not botted, that they're not just taking anyone and everyone, because if they're taking anyone and everyone, then there's no quality control, right? But that's another way to drive data and streams to music, right? To get your stuff on there, which leads me to the next thing. If you're not a big fan of social media and posting, which I honestly am not always a big fan of that all the time. I do enjoy it sometimes, but sometimes it gets exhausting. So why not pay someone who's already got a massive following? Like we have a new song coming out this Friday, and so we paid an influencer who has the audience that I want to promote my song. And so what's so awesome about this is that I just pay them. They've got the audience. They're making the content. And so it frees up my time to do what I want to do, which is probably write another song. And I'm sure if you want to write another song. So I'm going to tap into their fan base and all that and promote my song while I'm doing whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I'm leveraging my time, I'm leveraging my money, and then I'm leveraging their audience, right? And then I'm getting more and more data. But you've got to think between 30 and 60-day campaigns and really stay on this, because sometimes what will happen is Spotify finally gets enough data and then boom, all of a sudden you start showing up in the radio playlist, the Discover Weekly. We've seen this with my different students, and all of a sudden, poof, their streams just take off. And this is what's happened to me. It's what's happened to my students, and I know it can happen to you. For more Spotify-specific training on ads, go to smartmusicbusiness.com/Spotify ad templates. I'll put the link below this video, or make sure you come to one of our Spotify challenges where you can ask me questions all week for 5 days straight. Go to 10xyourfanbase.com/live challenge, and I'll see you there.